Late Professor Ben Turok will be remembered as an icon in the struggle for justice and democracy. This as a memorial for Turok is about to take place shortly in Johannesburg. Our reporter Manqoba Mchunu is there. Let's cross to him now for a live update.
Well, certainly, Sanjay, the momentum gaining here at the Johannesburg City Hall is, of course, that memorial in honor of the late struggle stalwart Ben Turok. Professor Ben Turok will take place here in a short while from now. The former President Manqoba Mchunu expected to deliver the keynote address. He'll be highlighting some of the legacies and some of the memories of Ben Turok and why Ben Turok was a shining example within the movement. But more than that, you recall that Ben Turok was also a member of the Communist Party during its underground leadership in the 1960s, following, of course, the banning of the ANC as well as the SACP during that time. So joining me now to speak about his legacy and also his time as a communist, I'm now joined by Solima Paile, who is the first Deputy General Secretary of SACP. Soli, thank you for your time. First of all, we do know that Ben Turok was also part of the Communist Party. What is it that shines out from Ben Turok during his time as a member of the Communist Party?
Well, he was an independent mind, one can say, because at some point he was one of those members that sharpened the criticism of the Communist Party's relationship with in their fight between the Communist Party of the Soviet Union and China. And he entered that fray much more specifically to create an independent platform of thinkers, young thinkers in the movement who were unafraid to critique the movement at that top level of the Central Committee, for instance. So he was also, of course, a well-known intellectual, academic, so a free thinker, if you like, but a committed revolutionary nonetheless, who was able to aggregate the broad challenges faced by our people and outlining what should be the interventions.
And of course, we do know that he himself was a very critical person, being critical of the ANC itself. I mean, what should we take from that?
He was very critical, of course, of everybody, like all revolutionaries should be. Revolutionaries should not be praise singers of the moment of leadership. They must be responsible for, on behalf of the people, and critique based on making sure that the movement is able to move forward the agenda of the people, not self-serving interests of leaders. That is why, even after the unbanning of the movement, he was one of those who have a sharp critique about the new path of economic trajectory that we were taking up as a country. When the corruption was creeping in openly in the movement, he stood out and criticized that. So he was quite clear about what needs to be done by the revolutionary movement.
And with regards to what can young people take, especially those who are still young in the movement, both the ANC and the SACP, what lessons can they draw from him and the kind of man that he was?
The most important thing is that here was a young white man who came from outside the country, took South Africa and made it his own, and lived here to serve the interests of the people across color lines. So that's the most significant, perhaps, lesson we can learn from him, but also that he was educated. He loved books, he loved reading. Of course, the fact that he was a professor himself, a lecturer, but he continued to read and write. He wrote almost 20 books in his lifetime, all of them revolutionary interventions across the board. So it's someone who can emulate and make as an example of what a revolutionary is. He was a very great revolutionary, and it's important that we should honor him and cherish his contribution in our movement, particularly during the most difficult times.
But of course, this comes also at a day when the ANC is celebrating the 30 years of its unbanning. And we do know that, of course, it was unbanned in 1990 on this very day. What lessons can the ANC, and especially the SACP and the alliance as a whole, take from Ben Turok going forward to make sure that the parties and the alliance sticks together and that they speak with one?
That only meant that the people, the revolutionary struggle can be properly embedded amongst the people without being afraid of being representing a bent organization. As you know, The Communist Party was the first to be banned by the apartheid regime when it took power in 1950 through the Suppression of Communism Act, then an act that they used to attack and ban all other revolutionaries some of them were not even communist. But of course, President de Klerk himself, in the banning of the Communist Party, was not doing us a favor. It was a consequence of struggles of our people, both inside the country and outside the country. And the apartheid system was crumbling. It has suffered major defeats as well, even in the regional wars. In Kwichakwana Valley, in Angola, for instance, on the 20th of March, we'll be celebrating the anniversary of that important battle where the apartheid army, SADF, was defeated by a combined force of Angolans and Cuban forces, of course with the participation of some of our comrades, MK, SWAPO, but in the main MPLA as well as the MPLA and the Cuban forces. So it was a consequence of our struggles, but of course, rooting the revolutionary theory and practice amongst the masses remains perhaps the greatest challenge that we face as a movement, so that we can have a people's democracy, not much a representative democracy that we are currently having. The representative democracy has got its own limitations. You must ultimately advance to a people's democracy, and that's what we are looking at.
Thank you, Soli. I see the formal program has started, so we'll have to stop it there for now. Of course, Solima Paele, they're speaking to us from the SACP. The formal program has now started here, Shante, and we do expect that speech to take place in a short while from now. It's back to you for now.